I will say so much of my confidence has absolutely been driven by that. By like, I am in a women's president's organization. And so I meet once a month and chat and text far more than that. But we have one meeting a month um, where there's all these women who have done so well in their businesses and they're amazing role models, amazing
Yeah.
mentors. We support each other. And I think just like I have grown so much of my confidence by having that foundation.
Yeah.
It's so important like that, for a young woman potentially thinking about starting her own business, I would say that is like you have to do that. You have to find that,
Yeah.
to support you and grow with you, and I learned so much. I feel like I take so many notes every time we meet about new things to look into, new things to try, and they're great, and, like, we've cried together, There's been
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
a safe space too.
Yes.
So
It's so
'cause
important to be surrounded with community, right? I mean, that's so
Mhm.
much of it. Welcome to the new chapter of the Her Resources podcast. I'm your host, Linda Misegadis, and I'm so excited to be stepping into this next season with you solo. This podcast has always been about amplifying women's voices, exploring the challenges we face in HR, leadership, and life, and sharing the tools and inspiration we need to thrive. And now, I'm taking that mission even deeper. You'll hear real conversations with bold and authentic women, as well as reflections from me on everything from pay equity and burnout to confidence, leadership, and the messy, beautiful journey of growth. This is more than just a podcast, it's a community, a space for us to learn, lead, and lift each other up. Welcome to this new beginning. This is the Her Resources Podcast. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Her Resources Podcast, the podcast where we have real conversations about leadership, growth, and the messy middle of becoming the woman you're meant to be. Today we're talking about something I know so many of you are navigating in real time: how to lead with confidence in spaces where women are still too often the only, and how to build a culture that helps other people rise too. My guest is Katelyn Montgomery. She is the founder of Worldgate, a leader who's building more than a business. She's building community, opportunity, and an intentional culture in the tech and consulting space with meaningful work supporting K-12 and public sector organizations. In this episode, we're getting into Katelyn's path, what shaped her leadership, and what gave her the courage to build. How she created a company culture that's grounded and values-driven, not performative. What it really takes to empower women, mentorship, sponsorship, and building confidence through action, and practical lessons for emerging leaders who want to grow without shrinking themselves. So whether you're stepping into leadership for the first time, building a team, or trying to voice your room that wasn't designed, trying to find your voice in a room that wasn't designed for you, this one is for you. Let's get into. Here's Katelyn Montgomery.
I don't know if I can stand up to that introduction, Linda.
Well, I
I
know
was
you,
like,
so you absolutely
wow.
can. I know it's always hard to hear about yourself
Yeah,
because you're like, oh, is that me? I actually do those
right,
things. And
right.
you do. You just like, it's just, you are very humble and unassuming. So
Oh,
that's the difference. So
thanks,
I
thanks.
am so excited to finally get you on the show. I know you and I have been trying to get you in here. And so it's been great to finally find some time in your schedule. But I'm curious, like, can you give everyone like the short version of your career path, because you've been in business for a long time, but also the moment that you knew you wanted to build Worldgate?
Sure, yeah, so I, have been working quite a long time. I was that kid who got my working papers at 14, but before that, I was knocking on doors of, like, the big house in our town to ask them if they needed a babysitter. So I definitely have been working most of my life.
Yeah.
So when I graduated from college, I moved to Virginia and just kind of did a lot of different things. I was literally a Kelly temp. That was my first, like, real job. I was a
Yeah.
Kelly temp, and then I, basically realized, like, I probably am gonna need some additional schooling or training to really get that job that I want. So I applied to business school, Went back to business school at the University of Maryland, got my MBA with a specialization in marketing. And my
Okay.
first job out of that was with MCI at Telecom, which I know
Yeah.
MCI was also in Denver, Linda, but that was such a great training ground for me. So it was a place where there were lots of young, dedicated people who spent money on marketing. So it was a great place to learn. And when
Yeah.
you talk about sort of being the only woman in the room, like I
Mhm.
was lucky there were many women in the room. Like, so I
That is
learned
awesome.
from early in my career that these strong, powerful women were my leaders and my bosses. And so it was a great place to be. Um, and then from there, I had my first child and just, there was a merger and I was like, I think I might like to try something else. So did
Yeah.
some consulting, worked for a small company with doing some software development. And then when you say, how did I know that I wanted to start Worldgate? I did not.
Yeah.
So,
Fair
I own
enough.
the business, as you know, with my husband, Scott,
Yeah.
and he was like, "I think we should start our own company." I'm like, "I think that's a terrible idea. Like, we should not do that. We
I
should
love that.
keep our jobs and we should have safe, steady jobs." Um, but he, was very convincing, and so I was like, "Okay, let's do this." So I actually consulted back to the company that I was working for a while just to kind of
Okay.
keep some steadiness in our lives.
Yeah.
And then came over to, full time at Worldgate, like just working on all of our strategy and back office. And so he is our sales leader and chief customer officer. And then I manage all of our back office team. So everything you shared earlier about culture and strategy, all of that is kind of what I manage here. So,
I love that. Well, and I love what you said too, that you got your working papers at 14 because that's very relatable to me. I did as well, and very
mhm.
similar. I was out there babysitting kids that were probably not that much younger than I was, and I had
Right.
absolutely no business babysitting these children.
No
The fact that
business.
that those adults trusted us with their children, what was wrong with those
Oh
people when
my
I look back?
gosh. And Linda, I remember that job because again, I went to the big house, right? I was like, these
Yes.
new people moved to the big house and they paid me $2.50 an hour. And I was like, this is the best babysitting job I've ever had. I mean, $2.50 an hour was like, I was rolling in it. I was
Yeah.
rolling in it. Yeah.
No, isn't that
Yeah.
so funny? I was looking
Yeah.
back at some old pay stubs because my mother kept everything, and, my minimum wage was $2.35, I think, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it felt like we were rolling in the dough back
Yes.
then,
Yes.
so of course, we used to be able to buy gas out of the change in our
Right.
ashtray in the car, right, where you threw all your loose change, and you're like, "Oh, you could stop and buy, enough gas to get you where you needed to go back then
Right.
with loose change."
Yes.
So,
Yes. Y
times were different, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm curious, like, what problem were you most passionate about solving when you started the company? Because as you talked about that you're responsible for all of that back office. I mean, that really is the foundation of the organization because none of the
Mhm.
rest of it matters if you don't have a solid foundation. So, what were the things that you were most passionate about?
I mean, I think there's sort of 2 perspectives there. So one was, we were able to focus on a really specific niche when we first started, which was supporting K-12 school districts.
Okay.
And we were finding that our clients really were looking for partners, not just, vendors, right? They were
Yeah.
looking for people that could help them understand, like, what needs they had, that could help them sort of solve a lot of their different issues and provide opportunities, and so that was one of the biggest things is just kind of knowing to go in as a partner to our clients
Yeah.
rather than a vendor.
I like
So
that.
we, weren't like we really weren't hard salespeople. Like,
Mhm.
Scott talks about relationship sales like as a big part of what we
Right.
do. Like it is about establishing those relationships and nurturing them and ensuring that
Yeah.
you are constantly providing value. Right. So like
Yes.
we don't rest on our laurels as far as like what things can we help our customers do better, right? So,
I
like,
like that.
in the
Yeah.
end, our customers are really answering to the communities and the families of those
So
communities.
true.
And so we need to help them be able to do that well. Um,
Yeah.
so that was like our external piece, I think. But then
Yeah.
internally, it's really interesting because I always thought like we always talked about something called the Worldgate Way.
Mhm.
And it was just about how we do business, right? And
Right.
one day, it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and someone said to me, "Well, what do you mean by the World Gateway?" And I was like, "What? Like, of course you know what I
Yeah.
mean." But apparently they didn't. And
Yeah.
so we were blessed with some time during COVID where we
Yes.
could, take the time to actually sit back and say, what does that mean to us? Like, we thought it
Right.
was just inherent in everything that we did, but we needed to put something out that ensured that our team members knew what that meant. So we actually
Sure.
developed something that we call the World Gateway, which is our values and our behaviors that we live by. So, and then we developed a little tent card. I'll do a little show and tell here.
I like
Um,
that.
but
Yeah.
this is the World Gateway, and we basically created a number of behaviors and attributes that
Okay.
align with like WOR. So, we always want our people to be willing and open-minded and responsive. And so there's a
Right.
number of them that align with it, but we make sure that every single person knows what that means every day.
I like that.
We reward people based on that. So like we have our World Gateway Way to Go awards, and we, look at, okay, is there someone who has been extremely accountable this quarter? Is there someone who has really exhibited a learner mindset? And
Yeah.
we make sure that we are always, rewarding and aligning to those values and behaviors every day.
I like that.
So that's been
Why is
intrinsic in
why
our
is that
culture.
so important to you? I mean, why is the World Gateway so important to you?
I mean, I think it's just, it, we're all human. And I
Yeah,
think it's really important to be human in business interactions.
I
And I
agree.
think we want to be known for just having all of those things. Like, there's a lot of maybe other companies that don't align to these things that we align to, right? And
Yeah,
so if our customer calls, I want to be willing to help them in whatever way they need, right?
sure.
I want to ensure that people aren't just coming in to do their job, that they are supporting their teammates and they're being
Yeah.
collaborative and they're recognizing each other. Like, I feel like it's just a human need to kind
Yes.
of support each other and um, behave in these ways. Like, I don't want to be in a cutthroat world. Like, that's
No.
just not
Mm-mm.
the culture that I want. I want people to be happy to come to work. I want people to be, grateful for each other. I want
Yeah.
people to feel rewarded and feel valued. So our people are the top value, right? So of course we value our clients, but like we wouldn't be here without the people that are on our team and support us. So I
I
think it's
like
just coming
that.
back to like those, not to get too deep, but those like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like
Mhm.
I want to be up
Yes.
here for them. Like I
Yes,
don't want to be just fulfilling basic needs, that they're getting paid
absolutely.
and that they
Yeah.
can, it's more than that. So
Yeah.
that's
Now,
kinda where that
do
comes
you
from.
think, like, were there things in your early days that maybe helped you formulate, good or bad? Because we've all worked for, to your point, we've been working a long time, so we've had a lot of
Mhm.
different experiences along the way. But do you think that there were things that helped you formulate that or shape that, like to know when I have my own business, this is how I want to operate it?
Yeah, I mean, I loved my time at MCI, like I shared with you. It was a fun place to work, like, they were working hard. I mean, believe me,
Yes.
people were
Yeah.
working nights and weekends um, but there were celebrations of successes. There
Yeah.
was a lot of support, so everybody
Yeah.
enjoyed who they worked with. They were willing to go to bat for any of them.
So
Um,
important.
and while I don't feel like I could ever truly recreate that culture because, I mean, they were sending people on these amazing five-star trips,
Right.
so, like, we can't do that. But just
Yep.
the basics of that, I feel like
Yeah.
have aligned to me. I also did a stint at AARP for a couple of years where I was
Oh, okay.
consulting,
Yeah.
and that was they were obviously a not-for-profit, and they just really were about supporting their membership, right? And creating as
Okay.
much value as they could. So if I could take what they were trying to do for their members, how could
Mhm.
I translate that into what we could continue to do to support our team members?
Yeah. I like that.
So,
Is there a challenge that maybe you didn't expect when you became, as a founder, and how did you kinda navigate through that challenge? Because 'Cause I'm sure starting a business is not easy. Starting a
mhm.
business with your spouse is even more challenging. And so thinking about all of that, what's something that maybe weren't expecting, and how did you navigate that?
So you are right. It is not the easiest to work with your
Yeah.
spouse.
Yeah.
And that probably was one of the bigger challenges that we needed to leverage each other's strengths and set up really clear swim lanes.
Yeah.
So it is hard when we're both sort of so passionate about making this successful to not jump into each other's swim lanes. But there
Yeah.
has to be those divides in order to um, succeed. And I think
Yeah.
also just we bring it home. I wanted to say we brought it home a lot, but we bring it home a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep, yep.
But I think we've done a better job um, just setting aside some time that we make sure that we're not always always talking
Yes.
about the business.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but he is um there's a book called Rocket Fuel. I don't know if you've read Rocket Fuel.
I don't think I've read
Um
that one.
yeah, so there's very much they talk about the visionary and the integrator
Okay.
in a company, and that every company needs a visionary and an integrator.
Yes, yeah, yep.
He is the visionary, I am the integrator. Like,
Okay.
he is the guy who's like, "I have this idea," and I'm the
Mhm.
person that used to say, so this I have also have gotten much better. I'm like, I used to say, "I don't think that's gonna work." And now I say, "Let's talk about how that could work."
Ah, okay. Alright,
And
that's growth, right?
let's evaluate, and, in the
Yeah.
end, maybe it isn't gonna work, but
Right?
I do feel like there's potentially a nugget in there or this great
Yeah.
big idea that we just need to figure out, like, all the things that would go into making that work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having, like, those defined and respecting each other for those roles, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
sometimes it gets like, "Oh, here we go. Here's another big
Mhm.
idea," but,
Yep.
um, now I'm like, "Great, you need those. We need a million big ideas, and maybe 2 of them are things that we're going to end up executing on." But it's a good book for understanding those
Yeah.
2 dynamics and
I
respecting those
like
2
that.
dynamics.
I have exciting news. The Her Resources podcast is opening sponsorships. If your brand supports women in HR and leadership, think talent, well being, learning, pay equity, coaching, productivity, or mission driven tech. This is your moment. Our listeners are decision makers and change makers who show up for real conversations and practical tools every week. We offer flexible options, pre roll or mid roll host reads, series sponsorships, and thought leadership integrations that highlight your story without the fluff. Ready to connect with a highly engaged audience and grow with us? Email contact@herresourcespodcast.com and put sponsorship in the subject line. I can't wait to collaborate.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
because I would imagine, I mean, that would be super challenging. I know I would I know I don't think I could work, my husband and I don't think Jim and I could work together the same way because we both do have such dominating personalities, and it's hard in that environment. And so I really commend and respect what the two of you have built. But it's really important what you've said there is that you establish boundaries. You have to work on communication, and you also have to make sure that you're not always bringing everything home, right? Because that could also be incredibly overwhelming and consuming of your lives if you're
Mhm.
working together and you're obviously living together. It's like blending
Right.
those two together. You've got to create that separation. So I really respect what you were just saying there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What does intentional culture mean to you in practice, not just in theory? Because we hear a lot about, authenticity these days. We hear about the mindful leader. But what does intentional culture mean to you?
I mean, I think it's some of the things that I was talking about earlier, but it's not just creating this tent card.
Yes,
It's
yes.
living the tent card, right? So
I
it
like that.
is again, like we started I think about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years at this point, but we started doing continuous feedback evaluations. So
Oh,
rather than
yeah.
the annual review,
Yes.
we require at least every 2 months to have, a continuous feedback evaluation. So you're sitting one-on-one with your manager, they're talking about what's going well, what's not going well, and we're also talking about, like, where did you align to the Worldgate way? Like,
Yeah.
how do we talk through, like, different areas that you need to work on? So we're instilling it in our rewards, we're instilling it in our
Mhm.
evaluations, we're instilling it in our, employee feedback surveys. So we do employee feedback surveys through all, parts of a employee's journey with us. So
Mhm.
at, 2 weeks after they've been hired, like, how is your recruiting process? How did, things go with your onboarding? What are the
Yeah.
things that didn't work well, right? So that
Mhm.
we can
Mhm.
continue to improve. We do it at, 90 days, 6 months, and then annually thereafter. But we always want to see, like, how we can do better, and does everyone sort of feel like we're living what we say? So,
I really like that everyone feels like we're living what we're saying, because I think
y
that is definitely like, that is the real litmus test of intentional culture is because to your point, we can put signs up on walls that have, all of these inspirational, statements. We can build tent cards, we can talk about it, but what are we doing to actually live those values and build and instill that culture in our
Mhm.
organization? Yeah.
And one of our values, Linda, is, community. Like, it's very, when we wrote it, I was like, "This feels a little too, like, feels a lot," right? But and I'll just
Yeah.
read it because it's a lot of words, but it says, "We value our communities and the opportunities we have to give back and create a better world." So, like, when we wrote that, I was like, "Create a better world? Is that just a lot? Like, are we just
Right.
striving for too much?" But I was like, "That's what I want, if it's a little
Yes.
tiny thing." So, we live that through a lot of different programs that we have. So, we give people 2 PTO days a year to volunteer. So we ask that they go into their communities and volunteer in addition to the PTO that we give them already.
Sure.
We highlight those things in our newsletter. So
Oh,
people,
that's cool.
send in like what they've done and we highlight those.
Yeah.
And then every Thanksgiving time, we send everybody a charity gift card so that they can donate to a
Okay.
charity of choice.
Oh, how
So
cool is that?
even if people can't do all these things on their own, like, we want to continue to make sure that we're providing every opportunity to give back in ways that
That
are
is
meaningful to our
wonderful.
team members. So
Well,
again,
and you
hopefully
give
it doesn't
back a
feel
lot
just
too,
we do, yeah.
right? Because and I think that's important because you're walking your talk, right? You're not telling your
Mhm.
employees, "Hey, here's a couple of PTO days. You go out into the community and live our values." You are doing that. Talk a little bit about some of the things that you do to give back to the community.
Yeah, so we have a few things, like, that we kind of support on an ongoing basis, but we have a local, um nonprofit charity called Helping Hungry Kids, and we have been working with Helping Hungry Kids since our children were in elementary school, but they are a program basically that, gets food donations, that packs food bags, and then those bags end up, going home with children who need it on the weekends. So, it's very discreetly provided in their backpack,
That is very
but
cool.
it's something that my kids and I delivered the backpacks to the classrooms when they were young. My daughter, Phoebe, is actually now their volunteer social media manager.
Oh, how cool.
And we've done, packing events here at corporate, so we've ordered all the food, we've packed all the bags, and then, the team from Helping Her Kids comes and gets the bags. So we've done a lot with them. They're so great. I love their organization. Um, and then I've done things for the past few years with the American Heart Association. So
Okay.
they have a program called STEM Goes Red for Women, and
Oh,
it's all about supporting our next level of, STEM female leaders.
that is
So,
very
it's in Philadelphia, and they bring in a bunch of young women from the school district of Philadelphia who they want STEM careers, they're not sure what they want yet, and we work as
mhm.
mentors to kind of answer questions for them, talk about what our career paths were,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, Linda, they're amazing. Like,
Oh,
they are like, "I wanna be a veterinarian, and here's what I've done at Penn to do this already." I mean, they're way far ahead from where I was.
that
Um,
is such
so
an
that's been a
inspiration.
really cool opportunity to, and then, we just do kind of smaller things on the side. Like,
Yeah.
I've done Wreaths Across America the past couple years where we lay wreaths at Arlington Cemetery for veterans.
Yeah.
So we just try to do as much as we can.
I love that. Well, and what you said in that value, you want to change the world. That's what changes the world. It's just one small action at a time, right? It's not. I think sometimes we stop ourselves from stepping out and from doing those things because we think it has to be something big and monumental,
Right.
or how can my one act really change anything? But that one act, that one child who isn't going to go hungry and wasn't put in a position to be embarrassed by any of that either, right? Because kids can be so cruel. And so
Right.
having something that's discreet but also so meaningful. And young women today, I mean, we need so much more of young women in STEM around,
Mhm.
just in general, especially as we think about too, even in the world of health. You talked about the American Heart Association, and we've had one of our guests on the show, Carrie Linton, who experienced a heart attack at a young age, and had if she were a man, it would have been viewed differently. As a woman, there
Yes.
is not enough focus put on this. So I think about a good idea of having more women. Women are going to then care about women's issues, and maybe we get looked after just a little bit more. So
That's exactly right. There was a opening session where they kind of talked about a lot of the statistics, and you're
yeah,
right. Like, I think that women go undiagnosed more often
so
because,
often, yes,
it's stress. It's that we carry the weight of
yes,
the world on our shoulders, right? It's a lot of these
yep.
things, um and it could be something bigger. So,
It
yeah.
definitely could. Yeah, we get
Mhm.
tired, I think, of being dismissed, and the
Mhm.
older we get, the more dismissive they become oftentimes because it's just postmenopausal, over 50, it's like all these and you're like, "Wait a minute.
I
That is
just
not
was
the excuse for everything."
I literally was just texting with some friends this morning who were all around my age in their early 50s, and I was like, "I feel like I'm falling apart." Literally,
Yes,
I feel like I
absolutely.
hit 53 and I've just fallen apart, so I'm
Yeah,
trying
no,
to
it
really
is so
take
true.
control of my health and yeah,
No,
so
I love that. That is fantastic. Well, and that's what I say. I love that you're out there. You're living what you're talking about. You're really leading with that intentionality. So I think that's really great. How do you prevent burnout for yourself? Because I would imagine, I mean, I know you're a mom, and I know you've got, kids in high school, and I know that your son started college this year, and then you've got the business, and I know Scott's always got a million projects going on as well.
Mhm.
How do you prevent burnout?
I don't think I do. I honestly,
No.
I will say I do not do a very good
That's
job of
okay, I
that.
love the honesty. I say it all the time. I'm a much better at preaching than I am following, so
Yes, I'm a worrier, so I spend a lot of time worrying, but I am trying to do lots of things. So I will say I'm trying very hard this year. I've always been someone who tried to eat healthy and try to exercise. So I do always make
yeah,
time for that. But I'm trying to make more time for the mindfulness this year. So I'm
I like
doing
it.
some meditation apps. I don't sleep very well. So a friend just introduced me to the Mahjong app. So now I play Mahjong at
Oh,
night.
okay,
And
yeah.
apparently, supposedly, the marketing for this app is that if you do it for 30 minutes at night, it really helps your sleep. Um,
Oh,
so I feel like I'm opening myself up to
good
creating
for
the
you.
space to do things that
Yeah,
will calm my mind
yes,
and, because I know how important sleep is, and
yeah.
that's one thing I've just never been very good at, like,
Mm-mm.
even I mean,
Me neither.
young to old, so everyone talks about, "Oh, it's just your age," and I'm like, "No, no, this has been
Nope.
ongoing for me."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I've been the same way. Never valued sleep as much as you should. And I
Mhm.
remember my husband saying that my father-in-law always used to say, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." And so, it was just really that not recognizing just how important. And they've done so
Yeah.
many sleep studies as well. Anymore, you'd think we would listen to it, but like I said, I'm much better at
I
giving
think
than
I
taking.
get it. I get how important it is, it's just I
Absolutely.
cannot catch it most times.
No, me
Yeah.
neither.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level? Let LJM Productions help you sound your best. We specialize in podcast editing, production, audio restoration, and mixing, ensuring every episode is polished, professional, and ready to wow your audience. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned podcaster, we'll handle the technical details so you can focus on sharing your voice. Partner with LJM Productions today and hear the difference.
In your experience, what do you think is holding women back most in the tech and consulting leadership roles? Because the statistics show that even though, and I always like to say, we're not sitting on our, down here complaining that women haven't come far. We've come a long way. You and I have been around for a long time. We've watched the changes that have occurred, and we experience things that we hope young women in today's world will never experience. But if we think about it, what is still holding women back from really taking those leadership roles or getting those leadership roles?
You know, I will say, so this, I'll give you a two-part answer, Linda, because I
Yeah,
will say, like, in my career, I feel like I've been very lucky, or I ignored it, or I don't know what it is, but I do not ever feel that I did not have an opportunity because I was a woman.
that's very cool that you feel that way.
So,
So tell us why.
y-
Why do you feel
I,
that way?
and again, like, I don't know. Did I just ignore it?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
that could very well be it, that
right,
I just
right.
didn't even see it. Or was I lucky enough to be in places where women were valued? Maybe.
Maybe, maybe.
So I I don't know the answer to that, but I will tell you I've had non-working experiences
Mhm.
where I just couldn't believe we'd have a meeting with, specific things around our estate planning or anything like that, right? And
Sure,
the
yeah.
gentleman the gentlemen, they speak to Scott.
Yes,
They
yes,
speak to
yeah.
Scott, and again, I had never experienced anything like that. So
Wow.
for me, it made me angry. And it has happened
Yeah,
with, like, 3 different people at this point,
interesting.
um, and
Okay.
I have fired every single one of them, Linda.
Good for you,
I
good for
really
you.
have. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
you
this is
have to be able
not.
to trust them just as much
Yes.
because you're right, it's estate planning for it's your estate too. It's
Yes.
not his estate, it's both of you, right? It's a joint
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is just like, it doesn't feel good, and so I'm just not
Yeah.
gonna put myself in that situation. Um,
No.
and then I'm sorry, because that was my 2 parts. Yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, but that's okay. I actually love when I talk to women who have had good, positive women in their lives and maybe not experienced it because it does show that there were 2 separate paths in all of that. We have some who really experience this and others who don't. It'll be interesting if there was some research. I should go do some research, and find out why that path was different because to your point, was it just that you were raised in a different environment where perhaps where you did maybe compartmentalize? Did you ignore it? Or were you just fortunate enough to work in an environment with a lot of women who were very supportive of each other and that gave you that good role model, which if that's the case, that is the better of those 2 scenarios for sure.
Maybe, and to your point, like, when I mean, I was raised by my mom, she was, like, a
Yes, that always makes a
predominantly single
difference.
mom, and, I had a sister, so it was
Yeah,
the 3 of us, like, growing up. My dad was overseas, so, it was just, yeah, so I imagine that I saw how hard my mom worked and what she
yeah,
had to do, and that it just sort of wasn't a choice for me. Like, I
yeah,
was just going
yeah.
to figure out how to succeed no matter what, and I just had these amazing female role models along the way.
I love
So
that.
yeah, I think I've
No.
been lucky and blessed.
That is very cool. So,
Mhm.
knowing that, how do you maybe try to create opportunities or to make sure that you're showing up for other women out there in a way that helps support them and gives them kind of that, so they don't have to have those feelings, that they have that same kind of luck and opportunity perhaps that you experienced?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of women on our team,
Uh huh.
and so I think I just like to continue to empower them as best they can.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because one of the leaders on our team recently took over another area of our business and she was promoted um and so some of the things that she was still bringing me into, I was like, this is not my job anymore. This is your
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so and I said, and I'm not saying that in a way that like I'm pushing anything off
No.
on you, but like I want you to feel confident and empowered and come to me with the recommendation, come to me with the solution. But like I don't need to sit here and go through the possible scenarios with you anymore.
Right.
You know this, like do it. So I think just every day in the workplace,
Yeah.
I'm trying to give that
I like
empowerment.
that. Yeah.
And we're just again, we're fortunate to have amazing women on our team too. So,
No,
yeah.
that's really cool. You talked about being a worrier. So, what's one confidence practice that you use when you're stretching into something new? Because I kind of heard a little bit, and I'm being presumptuous here, in that maybe corporate America was a little more stabilizing for you. Like you liked
Mhm.
it, you enjoyed it. There was that. I know it's why I love the idea of corporate America. I like the stability of all of that. But you
Yeah.
are corporate America now, right? So you are responsible for all of these people. So what's
Mhm.
one confidence practice that you use?
I think I try. I am again, so lucky that one of my best friends is a psychologist. And
Ah,
so I am so lucky that I get to walk with her and
yes,
get her free advice.
absolutely.
um, and, she has said to me many times, like, what's the worst thing that will happen?
Huh?
And so,
Yes.
like, so we'll go, I'm like, well, this could happen and this could happen. And she's like, okay. And then what if that happens? Is that the worst
Well,
thing that could happen?
yeah, I
So
like
how bad is that?
right.
And so I'm like, you're right. So I just, I kind of think through like the worst thing that could happen in this scenario that I'm working through is
Yeah.
actually not so bad. So truly,
Yeah.
if that's my like bottom, then
Right.
like I just have to have the confidence that we're not going to hit that. So we may hit
Yeah.
a couple of the rungs that I was, afraid of that are
Yeah.
above that, but like again, the worst isn't the worst.
Yeah, I
So,
like that. And that's a good way, I think, for us to approach for any of that. It's kind of, I want to ask for a raise or I want to ask for a promotion or whatever it is. I think women, we have a tendency to hold back. And I think, there are studies that show that women won't apply for jobs unless they meet almost 100% of the requirements versus, men, I think it's like 60%. So I like that way of taking that approach of saying, what's the worst that could happen? Because if the worst that could happen is they say no, what does that mean? And then
right.
I like what she said to you is then, and then what? So if that's the worst, and then what? And I like that. That's a great little
Yeah.
exercise to go through with yourself.
Have you read I feel like we've talked about this before, but have you read The Confidence Code?
No, I've been listening to it because you had
Yes.
recommended that,
Yes.
and I will recommend that to all of our listeners out there as well. I've got way too many audiobooks started right now because that
Yeah.
was one that you had recommended, but what I have listened to of it, I really like that. But tell our listeners a little bit about that and why that one resonates for you.
Well, it just again talks about sort of this, female confidence, right? And how
Yeah.
it's just when you talked about applying for a job or asking for the raise and all of that, like, that is a big part of what drives the salary gap, right?
Yes, it
It's
is.
not
That's so true.
necessarily that people are paid differently. It is that
Yeah,
men ask for it more, that
they do.
men apply for the promotion, And
Yeah.
so this talks about how, like, this isn't necessarily like this is something that women can control, right? By having
Right.
more confidence.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there's not pay disparity and all
No,
of
no,
those
for
things.
sure. I mean, there's
There
long-standing
is.
systemic issues, all of
Yeah.
that, but what
Yeah.
you're saying rings true. If you don't
Yeah.
ever drive the change, it never happens, right?
Yeah. There's a quote I highlighted in there, and I think I even have it on my Instagram when I first read the book, but it basically said like that women are traditionally much more rule following, right? And
Yeah.
that
Yes.
and one of the things that it says is like, let's teach our daughters to be a little bit bad, right? So, like,
Yes.
maybe sometimes if you maybe break a tiny rule, like,
Yep.
just it's not gonna be the end of the world, and maybe it will break a few barriers, and, like, there's,
Right.
kind of and is it a maybe it's not even a rule, it's an unwritten rule that we think, right? So,
Yes.
it's like we're kind of putting ourselves up to that glass ceiling because we think
That is
it's
so
unachievable.
true.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
No, it's very well, and I think exactly that is some of this is self-imposed. A lot of
Mhm,
it is systemic, but some we're not breaking the systems because we're repeating the behavior, right? We're still
mhm,
continuing to act and behave in a way, which is what has been fascinating to me. I don't know if you're seeing this, but I have seen a real change in female leadership over the last a couple of years for sure. And I have seen like a coming together of women, women supporting women, and there's a big community out there. And we're seeing a lot of women who are saying, if I can't accomplish it or get what I need or want in corporate America, I will go out there and start my own business. I will take the
mhm.
leap and maybe, jump into the other side of the pool. So,
I will say so much of my confidence, has absolutely been driven by that, by like, I am in a women's, president's organization, and so I meet once a month and chat and text far more than that, but we have 1 meeting a month, um, where there's all these women who have done so well in their businesses, and they're amazing role models, amazing
yeah,
mentors. We support each other, and I think just, like, I have grown so much of my confidence by having that foundation.
yeah,
It's so important, like, that, for a young woman potentially thinking about starting her own business, I would say that is, like, you have to do that. You have to find that,
yeah.
to support you and grow with you, and I learned so much. I feel like I take so many notes every time we meet about new things to look into, new things to try, and they're great, and, like, we've cried together, There's been
Yes,
it's
yeah.
a safe space too.
Yes.
So
It's so
because
important to be surrounded with community, right? I mean, that's so
Mhm.
much of it. Yeah.
Yep, yep, so that has helped a
No.
lot.
Absolutely. There's another book that you told me about, Smart Tribes, and I'm thinking that that's very similar, right? That's another one I've started and haven't finished yet on my list of audiobooks. But talk a little bit about that too, because if I'm not mistaken, Smart Tribes is really about finding your community. It's building that,
Mhm.
right?
And I think it's about that, but also, like, creating your tribes within your own business too, right? Or your community.
Oh,
So
yeah.
also about, like, you want your tribe to be someone that works really well together, that's leveraging each other's
Yeah.
strengths, that's kind of like really supporting each other. So external tribes, I guess, are really important, but
Yeah.
just creating those internal tribes is really critical to success. And I think I went to a conference where the woman, Christina Commerford, who wrote that book, spoke. And I feel like I learned a lot about managing people from her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, we just need to be very transparent, right? Because the thing is not always the thing, which I think is
Yes.
said so many times. But when someone's underperforming, like, you need to find out why. Like, what
Yes.
is driving that? Because
Yeah.
it is unlikely that person wants to underperform, right?
I
That is
agree.
probably the last possible scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, "Oh, I'm tired." Okay, why are you tired? What can I help with?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be helpful to
Yes.
take this project and give it to someone else for now? What, like,
Yeah.
support systems do you need? Would you like to share with me of whether there's any big underlying thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I felt like her question set it's almost like when a process breaks down, how you have to keep
Yeah.
asking all the
Yes.
questions of,
Yes.
like, the root cause and the root cause and the root cause, but this is about the person. Like,
Yes.
something broke, so what is that? And you might need to dig pretty deep to find out what that is.
Absolutely. And I think not being
Yeah.
afraid to do that. A colleague and I were talking about this the other day in that was sharing with me a situation and a reaction that an employee had to that situation. And I said, I hope that the manager of that employee takes the time to dig a little deeper because that employee's reaction sounds to me like there's something more going on. And
Mhm.
so instead of just being, the employee's behavior, certainly not the most professional, but there was a reason for that. So before you just get mad and react to the behavior, maybe dig in a little bit further and find out what's driving that, right? I mean, because
Right.
I know for me, like I've always told anybody who ever worked for me, you will never be surprised in a performance review. If I don't think you're performing, you're going to know it because I talk to my employees every single week. We
Mhm.
check in. If there's problems, we discuss them. Like we get to your annual review, that's just a checkbox because we've been talking the whole year. There's no surprises there. So if you are the kind of manager who is not having those transparent conversations and taking the time, maybe this is a time to do some self-reflection and make some changes. Hey everyone, we're the Her Resources podcast, where women share real stories, real lessons, and the resources that help them succeed. We're always looking for inspiring women, business leaders, creatives, educators, and changemakers who want to share their journey and empower others. If that sounds like you, we'd love to hear your story. Reach out to us at contact@herresourcespodcast.com and let's start the conversation.
I just had someone ask me last week, like, we had a meeting on a Friday, and then apparently the person stewed all weekend and then said on Monday, "I feel like you were mad at me." And I was like, "I was not mad at you." And they said,
Yeah.
they said, "Well, you seemed it." I said, "You would know if I was mad at you."
Yes, because I would have
Like,
told you I was
yes.
mad at you. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it's
No, I
unlikely
totally
that
agree.
I'm mad at you. Might I have been
Yes.
disappointed in something? Might I have been,
Absolutely. Maybe mad at the situation.
right,
You
right,
could be disappointed or angry at the behavior, but
right,
it's not the person. And I
right.
think that sometimes that I think is a lot of what is gets creates that muddy water is that it's
Mhm.
that separation between the person and the activity or the behavior of the situation, right?
Right. And I think I learned
Yeah.
from you, Linda, like one time you said we were in a meeting that I think was a little contentious, and you said, "We need to remember that everybody is coming to this with good intention."
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, like,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
again, there may be disagreements and there may be
Yep.
differing opinions, but if we
Yes.
can remember that everybody's coming with good intention, then,
Yeah.
that really helps the hotness in the room, right?
I think it does. Yeah,
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 exactly. Because 'cause we're gonna
yeah.
have those moments
Right,
for
right.
sure. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Mhm.
Well, kind of bringing it back to your work, what drew you to K-12 and public sector? Like, of all the things, because that wasn't your background. I mean, your background was really in corporate
Ye
telecom. I know you did some software, and design consulting. So
yeah.
why K-12 and public sector?
So we talked about the relationships, right? And so that was from a prior, work, like one of our first clients was one of Scott's mentors from long ago.
Okay.
So it really we
Yeah.
just sort of fell into it and then loved it.
Interesting. Okay,
Fell
okay,
into it and loved
yeah,
it. So, it's just been this wonderful thing that we feel like, again, we're not saving the world, we're not at all
right,
saving the world, but might we be doing something that makes something better for
yeah.
those administrators who are helping those students and those families? Maybe, hopefully, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
No,
yeah.
I really like that. No, that is for sure. What does successful change management look like in those environments? Because I know supporting public sector and in those environments, it can be really, really challenging. And so, what
Mhm.
does successful change management look like when you're working within those environments?
I mean, I think going back to those principles of tell them again, and tell them again.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Just,
I like that.
like, what are we doing and why? What
Mhm.
are the reasons that we're doing it? Like, there's a foundation. What are we trying to make better?
Yeah,
And
okay. I like
so
that.
really setting those foundations, like, we're not just doing this because, right? We're doing this for a
Okay.
reason. We are
Yeah.
we are trying to make this better, and this is how we are planning to do it, and here is your role. So,
Okay.
you need to continue to tell us, like, is this making it better? Are we achieving our objectives? But, like,
Yeah.
I think it is 100% communication. I think the
I
most
agree.
successful change management is communication, communication, communication.
It really is because
Yeah.
so many misunderstandings happen all the time.
You can
No.
do as much training as you want, and you can make sure people know how to use the software.
Yeah.
and check the boxes and log in the right ways. But unless they know why they're doing it and
Yes.
how this is going to make things better, it will not be successful.
No, I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
Mm.
What advice would you give to an emerging woman leader who's ready for her next step?
Oh my gosh. Again, set those mentors, those colleagues, find them,
Yeah.
get your girl group. Like it is really, really important. Um, I think finding a mentor really that has done a bit of what you've done before is
Yeah.
extremely helpful. Just and someone that you feel confident that you can ask all the dumb questions without
Yes.
seeming dumb,
Yeah.
right? Like it's sometimes hard. I remember like um, joining this women presidents organization because I got the postcard that said like lonely at the top question mark. And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, yes, I am. I don't feel like
Absolutely.
I don't feel like I can break down at work.
Right?
I just
Yes.
so it didn't feel like I could share. You never want your team members to feel like you're scared or that you can't do things, right? Because they're
Right. Yeah.
following you up that
Yep.
mountain.
Yep. That's
Um,
right.
so just I think finding that tribe, that group, all of
Yeah.
that is just really
I like
important.
that. No, I think that's really good. What's a belief you wish more women had about themselves at work?
Oh my gosh, that they're just as capable as anybody else in that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think just having that confidence and, there's the also I feel like I've said a lot of sayings today, but, the fake it till you make it. Like, just go in there
Yeah.
and be as
Yeah.
confident as everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's so much. It is just about that is that you got to look around the room sometimes, right? And also realize that I think we get caught up in this belief that people who are the CEO or the in the C-suite that they must be the smartest people in the room and that they must know everything. But the reality of it is good leadership surrounds themselves with smarter people, right? So you don't have to know everything because it's impossible to know everything. There's no way that you can possibly be an expert at all things. And so you yourself, to your point, you have those insecurities and those fears of like, oh gosh, how am I showing up for my team as well? But it's having the confidence to say, I'm going to go find my tribe. I'm going to go have this conversation so then I can show up in the way that I want to for the people that I lead, right? So,
Yeah. And I would also
yeah.
say, I just had this experience last week and I'm so grateful for it, even though I was so annoyed by it to begin with.
Yeah.
So I just we were sending out our employee Christmas cards. Things got awry with the ordering the cards and the envelopes and the all
Mhm.
the things, right? Little tiny things. And there was
Yeah.
something that I had wanted to ensure that I communicated with them before today. And
Okay.
so now we're at the point that these cards are not going to get in the mail. They are
Mm.
not going to get there before today. So I sent each of our employees a individual message. So I was like,
Okay.
oh, I need to send 63 messages today. And let me tell you what, I am so glad I did that because the responses I received, like,
Oh, yeah.
were incredible, just
Yeah.
incredible. And so I
Yeah.
think don't lose those connections. Don't
Yeah.
don't be so presidential that
Mhm.
don't know things about everybody on your team. Like one of the
Yes.
things that we do once a month is a virtual coffee chat. And
Oh,
so
I like it.
anybody from our team can join. It's
Yeah.
30 minutes and different people join. Sometimes there's 5 people, sometimes there's 20 people. And
Yeah.
we learn things about each other. Um,
Yeah.
and don't lose that because it is so important.
I
It's so important.
totally agree. It
Yeah.
is so important to know the people who work for you. Because I know when I was coming up, I say this all the time that, there was more of a hierarchical relationship with leadership. And generally speaking, you did not have a direct line to the CEO or the
Right.
president. It was this weird thing like, you weren't supposed to have a direct conversation like they were somehow, I guess,
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I do think that that has to change because that also is how you build a stronger culture of trust and engagement because your part of that organization, you're part of that team. You can't sit in the glass house, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
work. Not today. It doesn't work. It
No.
did back then. It doesn't work today for sure.
Well, and it's funny because people join the coffee chat, and at the end, I feel like every time I say, like, "Thank you for joining. I know this is more for me than you." So, like, it makes me
Absolutely.
happy. So, thank you for giving me your 30 minutes. So, yeah.
Yes. No, it's a great opportunity to get to know your team. I love that.
Mhm.
What is one trait you think great leaders consistently practice?
I think developers, they need to be developers. They need
Yeah.
to want to develop their people
Yeah.
because you can only be as strong as your team members
That's a
are,
good one.
right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
people don't feel like they're learning and developing, like, what are they doing, right? Like,
Yes. I
so
totally agree.
yeah.
No, that's a
I mean,
good
I was
one.
gonna say cheerleader, I was gonna say transparency, but I think, like, really when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
you need to be giving people opportunities to grow in some way. I mean, sometimes the job is
Yes.
what it is, right? Like,
That's right. Yeah.
it is what it is, and maybe there's no room for promotion at this time. But
Yep.
if you can find other ways to help people develop, I think
Yeah.
that is only going to make your organization stronger.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good one. I haven't heard someone say that before, so that was a good one, and I totally agree with you. I like that.
yeah.
What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh gosh, well, I've already shared that I'm a worrier, but probably they wouldn't be surprised because 'cause I'm sure I've told everyone at some point. Um, so what would they be surprised to learn about me? Oh my goodness. Did I have this on the prep questions, Linda?
Nope, this isn't a lightning round. This
I'm
is my
sure I
fun round.
did, yes. I don't know. Maybe just, like, I love my family so much. Like, I don't know if that would be surprising, but, like, I love my dog. Like, I love my dog so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
our dog just went through this, like, we thought we were gonna lose her, and
Oh.
I was crying my eyes out, and my kids were there, and I said, "I will be lost without her. She's everything to me." And my kids were like, "Really?" But, like, I just love my people. Like, I feel very,
Oh.
like,
I love
yeah,
that.
I
No,
feel
I
very
think that
blessed.
that is something that is really cool, and I feel the same way, and I know that my kids have felt that way as well, that
Yeah.
perhaps maybe my dogs could take precedence.
Yes,
And they
yes,
might not be that far off, but
yes,
I'll still take the
yes.
kids, I
And
guess,
my
but,
dog's okay. She ended up being okay, so now she's,
oh, good, I'm so
yes,
glad to hear that.
yes.
No, because that is the worst feeling in the world when your pup's
Yeah.
going through
Yes.
something, because they are part of your family for sure.
Yes.
What is something that you are excited about right now, personally or professionally?
Oh my gosh, so we are in a transition in my household where, like, our last 2 will go off to college next
That's
year.
right, you're on the verge of being an empty nester.
Yes, and so while inside I'm crying, I'm
Yeah,
trying very hard to look at how amazing this is gonna be for them and
yeah,
what will I be, right? Like,
yeah,
how is my life gonna change? I've spent so much of my
absolutely.
life hopefully supporting them, like, hopefully they come back and think that,
Yeah,
but I just am looking forward to what that's going to look like. I don't know what that's gonna look like
yes.
yet, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it is an interesting time of transition, and it will be even more interesting. I'll have to come back and talk to you about it once the twins go off to college because I want to hear how it has changed in the dynamic for you and Scott because
Yes.
you guys have been together all this time. So it's not like you've
Yes.
got, where your kids have been 100% of your focus, and then you have these jobs that are like your life, your family are all intertwined. And so I'm going to
Yes.
be really curious to hear, like, what are you guys doing? How did it change? What's different about all of that? So,
Yes, I just don't even it's interesting, I mean, I started the mahjong app because I'm like, I need to learn how to play mahjong, and, like,
yes, yeah,
I've played pickleball, so I'm like, what am I gonna do with my spare time now?
yes.
So, yeah,
No, I love it. That's a good
yeah,
one for sure. No, that's
yeah.
definitely. Is there anything we didn't cover that you'd really love to leave listeners with?
I think we covered a lot of it, Linda. So
We did
yeah,
cover a
yeah,
lot. This has been
yeah.
so much fun. I always love talking to you. We've known each other now for a long time, and it's really
Mhm.
watch the business continue to grow and just to see all of the amazing things that you're out there doing. It's been fun to watch and see your kids transition
I know.
and just, everything that you've got going on and all the give back that you give. I'm guessing you're going to find yourself volunteering a whole lot more too, if I were
I
betting.
would imagine that as well, yeah, but
Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate your support over the years, and I know, you have your other podcasts that
we
you and
do.
Scott do, so giving a shout out to that one too.
That's right, how you go there, or
Yep,
how you go there, I had to remember
yep,
for a second time.
yep,
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing your story and just the way that you lead, because what I'm taking away from this conversation is really about that it's empowerment, it's not a slogan, right? It's a set of choices, it's building a culture on purpose and giving women real opportunities and women taking those opportunities to the point that you made and really modeling what confidence looks like when it's earned through action, because I do think that that makes a big difference. And to everyone listening, if today's episode hit home, I want you to take one thing you heard and turn it into movement this week. So maybe it's having a conversation you've been avoiding, maybe it's saying yes to visibility, or maybe it's raising your hand before you feel 100% ready. Ask the question, make the comment, because confidence isn't the prerequisite, it is the result of those actions.
Yep.
You can connect with Katelyn and learn more about Worldgate in the show notes. We'll put the link out there for Katelyn so you can contact her via LinkedIn if you want to reach out. And then we'll also share about Worldgate, Katelyn's company as well. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do 3 quick things to help women find these conversations. If you can follow and subscribe to the Her Resources podcast, leave a review. It truly does matter. And share this episode with a woman who's ready to move to her next level. And as always, thank you for spending time with me, Katelyn, and to all of our listeners out there. Keep leading with intention, keep building your voice, and keep choosing yourself one brave step at a time. Until next time, I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Linda.
You've been listening to the Her Resources podcast, where women's voices, leadership, and growth take center stage. As your host, I'm here to remind you that the journey isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. Every step you take to build confidence, create impact, or use your voice is part of a much bigger story. It's the one that inspires others to do the same. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with another woman who's ready to step into her power. And as always, thank you for being a part of this community. Together, we're not just changing conversations, we're changing the future.